Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more English story. Rebuild yourself. Ethan had always been proud of the life he built. 35. He was a successful architect, married to his college sweetheart, and living in a beautiful home he had designed himself. Life seemed perfect until a series of unexpected events left him shattered. A major project he had worked on for 2 years fell apart due to financial issues, leaving him both professionally and emotionally drained. Around the same time, his marriage began to falter. Misunderstandings turned into arguments, and before long, his wife asked for a separation. Ethan found himself alone in the house he once loved, surrounded by memories of a life he no longer recognized. Hitting rock bottom. For weeks, Ethan drifted aimlessly. He avoided friends, ignored calls from work, and spent his days staring at the walls of his empty home. One evening, while flipping through old photo albums, he came across a picture of himself as a young man. In the photo, he was smiling confidently, standing next to a model of his first architectural design. Seeing that image, Ethan felt a pang of longing. What happened to that version of me? He wondered. It was in that moment he realized he had a choice: remain stuck in despair or rebuild his life from the ground up. The decision to start over. Ethan decided to rebuild himself, just as he had rebuilt structures in his career. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was determined. His first step was acknowledging his pain. Instead of suppressing his emotions, he allowed himself to grieve the loss of his project, his marriage, and the future he once envisioned. He journaled his thoughts, spoke to a therapist, and began to let go of the guilt and regret that weighed him down. Laying the foundation. Ethan knew that rebuilding required a strong foundation. He started with small, daily habits that would strengthen his mind and body. Physical health. Ethan began running every morning. First, he could barely jog a mile, but over time, his endurance improved. Running became his therapy, a way to clear his mind and feel alive. Mental growth. He picked up books on personal development and resilience. One quote that resonated with him was, "The comeback is always stronger than the setback." Social support. Ethan reconnected with friends he had distanced himself from. He joined a local community group for architects, where he found solace in sharing his experiences with others who understood his struggles. Redesigning his life. As Ethan regained his strength, he started to envision a new future. He began working on personal projects, designs he had always wanted to create but never had time for. One of these was a series of small, eco-friendly homes designed for people recovering from natural disasters. His work caught the attention of a nonprofit organization, which approached him to collaborate on rebuilding homes for displaced families. This project reignited Ethan's passion for architecture and gave his work a deeper sense of purpose. Facing the past. One of the hardest parts of Ethan's journey was addressing his feelings about his failed marriage. He reached out to his ex-wife, not to rekindle their relationship, but to find closure. They met for coffee, and for the first time in years, they spoke honestly about what had gone wrong. Though painful, the conversation allowed Ethan to let go of resentment and embrace forgiveness, for her and for himself. Building something new. Over the next few years, Ethan's life transformed. He became a sought-after architect, known not just for his innovative designs but for his resilience and ability to create meaningful spaces. He also found love again, but this time, he approached relationships with a greater sense of self-awareness and balance. Ethan's greatest lesson came not from his successes, but from his struggles. He learned that rebuilding isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about creating something stronger and more beautiful than before. Moral of the story: life will knock you down, but it's how you rise that defines you. Rebuilding yourself requires courage, patience, and a willingness to confront your pain. By focusing on your strengths, embracing growth, and finding purpose in your struggles, you can create a life that is not only whole but extraordinary. Never underestimate your ability to start again and build something remarkable. Clearing the rubble. Ethan's decision to rebuild himself was the first step, but before he could create something new, he had to clear the emotional and mental rubble left behind by his setbacks. The mornings were the hardest. He would wake up to an empty house and a flood of memories of what his life used to be. It was tempting to retreat into the comfort of old routines, watching endless television or scrolling through social media to numb the pain. But Ethan knew these habits would only bury him deeper. Confronting the pain, Ethan decided to face his pain head-on. He began journaling every morning, pouring his thoughts and feelings onto the pages. First, the entries were raw and messy: anger, sadness, regret. But as the days passed, he began to notice patterns in his emotions. One recurring thought stood out: I feel like I failed. The realization hit him hard. For so long, Ethan had tied his worth to his achievements. The failed project and his broken marriage had shaken his identity to the core. But as he wrote, a new thought emerged: failure is not the end. It's a chance to learn. Seeking support, Ethan also realized he couldn't do this alone. He reached out to a therapist, something he had been hesitant about for years. In their sessions, he uncovered deeper truths about himself: his perfectionism, his fear of vulnerability, and his tendency to put others' needs before his own. His therapist gave him a piece of advice that stayed with him: rebuilding yourself isn't about returning to who you were. It's about becoming who you're meant to be. Breaking old patterns. Ethan began to identify habits that no longer served him. One of the first things he tackled was his relationship with work. For years, he had taken on projects that paid well but didn't excite him. This contributed to his burnout and loss of passion. To change this, Ethan made a list of design ideas he had always wanted to explore but had shelved due to fear or lack of time. One idea stood out: creating spaces that brought people together. Whether it was community centers, libraries, or shared housing, Ethan wanted his work to have meaning beyond aesthetics. Physical and mental renewal. Ethan knew he needed to rebuild his strength, not just mentally, but physically. He started small, committing to daily walks around his neighborhood. The fresh air and movement helped clear his mind and improve his mood. Over time, these walks turned into runs, and he eventually joined a local running group. The group became an unexpected source of support. Ethan found himself surrounded by people who shared their own stories of loss and resilience. Their determination inspired him to keep moving forward, both on the trail and in his life. Forging new connections. As Ethan began to heal, he sought out people who could understand his journey. He attended workshops and seminars on personal growth and resilience, where he met others who had faced similar struggles. At one workshop, he connected with a man named Daniel, who had rebuilt his life after losing his business. They quickly became friends, exchanging stories and supporting each other's goals. Daniel introduced Ethan to a nonprofit organization focused on building sustainable housing for underserved communities. The opportunity was perfect. It combined Ethan's architectural skills with his newfound desire to create meaningful work. A new vision. Ethan's decision to partner with the nonprofit marked a turning point. He no longer viewed himself as someone trying to recover from failure. Instead, he saw himself as a builder, not just of structures, but of hope and community. With each day, Ethan felt a little stronger, a little more confident. The rubble of his past was clearing, and in its place, a new foundation was forming. Moral of the story: rebuilding yourself starts with acknowledging your pain and clearing away the habits and beliefs that no longer serve you. True growth comes from facing your fears, seeking support, and embracing the lessons that failure offers. It's not about returning to who you were, but becoming someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Every setback is an opportunity to create a new, more meaningful path forward. I'm so glad you spent this time with me. If you liked the story, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Take care, and see you next time.